back to the Mind and Money podcast. I'm Sherry, a financial coach.
And I'm Val, a financial planner. And today we have a lovely guest. I'm very excited. We have Amy with us today. So, Amy, over to you. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Oh, goodness. I am a certified functional nutrition practitioner, and I'm also a certified ADHD life coach. I'm also a teacher, and I also teach others about nutrition. But I think the biggest piece there is that I didn't know I had ADHD until I was 45 after my son was diagnosed. And then everything sort of came together. And then this is why I'm standing in front of you today. So I think a lot of that we'll touch on a little bit of the why between the nutrition and then the coaching later on. But I think it's been quite a journey to get to this point. But it's given me so much insight into how ADHD brains work. And I'm excited to talk to everyone about it today.
You say is the biggest challenge for folks with ADHD when it comes to nutrition?
It's the shame. Okay. It's kind of like a two-pronged answer here. There's a lot of shame around food. That can just mean, sometimes for some people, it could be, why can't I just get it together and figure out, what to eat or how to eat or when to eat and just put something together? Why can everybody else seem to do this, but I can't? And the shame around that, sometimes it's the binging pattern. We don't eat all day, right? And then all of a sudden, it's like a raccoon in the pantry at, 9 p.m., and the shame that's associated with that too. And I think this is where I see a lot of ahas when we talk about this, because there's so much executive function load around food, preparing food, cooking either for yourself or if you have a family, and all the shoulds that go with that. And when we start to understand, but this is another executive function task, and we start to appreciate that and just take that step back, be like, oh, well, this makes sense that I'm struggling with this. So what do we do now, right? Like, how do we build something or build a system around this too? Because it's needed. And when we understand that a little bit better, we can take away some of that shame.
And Amy, if I understand correctly, you're not only focused on the system that we have around whether it's meal planning or selecting meals and making sure we're hitting everything we need, but do you also speak to the connection between what we eat and our minds?
Yes. Oh, yes. From my, functional nutrition background, in terms of working with clients, what we look at initially, especially with ADHD, is I look at, your nutrient pattern. So what are you taking in? When are you taking it in? What holes might we need to fill? So like, what might you be missing? And especially with neurodivergence, there are quite a few that we end up burning through so fast. We just use them up because of the world we live in every day. Because a lot of things are much harder. So we have to work that much harder, but we don't often see that. And so does our brain. And so we burn through things like magnesium and zinc and iron and vitamin D and all the B vitamins, B12 in particular. And so we kind of look at all of that to start, and we fill some of those holes, or that's kind of like part of the plan. And then we take the step back and figure out, okay, where does everything fall apart? And then that's when we start to break down the systems piece, the how. And I worked in functional nutrition for quite a while before I went back to school again for my ADHD life coaching certification, because that's what I kept getting stuck on for us. Because everyone I worked with, like, they knew they needed to have protein or in the morning, or have it throughout the day, or fiber, and make sure that they're eating regularly. But it was but how, Amy? I don't know how to remember how to do it, or how to set myself up in a way that I don't have to meal prep for 6 hours on a Sunday, because I've never done that once in my life. There's no way. So it's more about that piece. And then that's kind of where a lot of us just know what, we should be eating, right? I support that, but also with the nutrients they might be missing. But then we look at the systems and the how. And I can't wait for that. I love it.
Do you also find that when your clients come to you, they're maybe facing some decision fatigue or like almost that paralysis because you should have this much protein, and well, if I can't get there, I'm not going to try it. Like, there's a lot of dietary buzz pieces, or eat this, it's great for you, but then the next week it's not great for you. So do you find that clients are overwhelmed with what they're gleaning or picking up from social media or friends or family?
Yes, absolutely. And I think, and that's that sort of first piece of our work together, is it's breaking down what they might not even necessarily need to do. A lot of people will come to me on a bazillion supplements, and I'm like, but why are we doing that? And then we're creating another imbalance in your system that your body has to compensate for. And so unless you know or you suspect, I'm not saying I diagnose vitamin D deficiency. It's more about like a symptomatic approach that we look at. So potentially, but it's more about looking for those pieces. And we don't necessarily know. And that's why it's important to talk to someone who can pick off like, this could be, potentially this. Let's try to add in more sources of whatever that nutrient is. But the protein piece right now is huge.
Yes.
And I think especially for women and the pressure around this it's a lot. And, I think we're missing the boat because the majority of ADHDers that I see in my own practice aren't even digesting food properly, let alone protein, which is harder on your digestive system so that you can even get it where it needs to go in your body. Right. And I think that's the biggest thing that I always have to break down and help just with that understanding that we need to hear because you're not making enough stomach acid because you're burnt out, you're in fight or flight 24/7. We're missing nutrients, but if we can get you digesting your food properly, then we're supporting that, then that is where we're going to actually see a lot of shift.
Okay. Okay. Tell us more. This is not something that has ever been in my
how do I make more
realm
stomach
or
acid?
knowledge. I'm just trying to get the protein. I didn't know I had to worry about my freaking stomach acid
Right?
now too. How do we know if that's an issue and what are some of the
Yeah.
early steps we can take to address this completely new challenge that now I'm going to worry about?
Yeah, no, you don't need to worry, I promise. However, I love that question. How do we know? In terms of digestion, if we're digesting that food. So often we'll see bloating, gut discomfort, or constipation is a huge one, or the opposite. So IBS is enormously correlated with our neurodivergence. So often I'll see one or the other, somebody who's really constipated, or sometimes it's both. Like it just depends on what's going on in their life. But we'll see those types of things. We also might see acid reflux or GERD. So when your stomach acid comes up your throat and you feel like, I remember that from being pregnant too, like, oh my, what is happening? But it's because, and this is a giant misconception, and I'm not saying always, it could be because we're actually not making enough stomach acid because our food is just sitting in our stomach fermenting. And so because it's not digesting, it's like rotting in our stomach. And the gases, I know it's gross, right? The gases are actually pushing up into what we feel is our throat. And that's the discomfort. And then we throw some sort of antacid on it. Or sometimes if it's from a doctor prescribed specifically for that, we're literally perpetuating the problem instead of fixing it, right? That's a big one. So that's where I would say that's how you know that digestion is not happening properly.
So
Does that make sense?
all of those symptoms, do you typically someone reading those as like, oh, well, I'm intolerant. I need to go gluten free. I need to go dairy free. I can't eat this because it causes that. To your point, we're kind of missing the boat if we're not looking at, is our stomach even active?
Yes, exactly. That's exactly it. And I hear this all the time, especially I work with a lot of moms who come in and want to be there for their children. They may be neurodivergent or suspected or not, and they just want to support their children. And they've ripped out gluten and dairy and sugar and dyes and all of the things. But that child just needs a little bit of digestion support. And that can be really easy, like a chewable digestive enzyme with every meal. Or I often start with apple cider vinegar. I prefer whole food first, which is apple cider vinegar is like, I don't know, it's my favorite thing. And it's always in my water. But you can start with just like a teaspoon and you just put it in some water. You have to dilute it. Otherwise it affects your tooth enamel, and you drink that with your meal or just before your meal. And often it can make a huge difference. Not all of us can tolerate that because of our sensory load, right? Or issues that might be around that. So then, in those cases, there's other ways that we can look at it, and support it. But I think it's so simple. It's so simple. It's like one thing. And then we can kind of go from there.
That's the challenge for so many of us, right? It's simple and it's just one thing, but it's one thing for 112 things that we're just trying to improve. So if, as somebody who once tried apple cider vinegar diluted, shocker, I've tried all the things, like I just couldn't handle it. What are some alternatives if somebody's checking all the boxes for my stomach's not doing the things my stomach should? What are some other steps that they can take to help improve their digestion?
Yeah, I think sitting down and eating your meal. I know we do this all the time, but it is undervalued. the rushing thing or eating while we're doing something else, especially for us, like mentally, our brain is always going to take over and it just takes the blood flow away from digestion and puts it in your brain because you're busy. You don't even have to be rushing anywhere or feel rushed, but it will do that. So that's a big one too, which is, I know, hard. That's part of sort of the systems work that I do with people, is trying to figure out how do we do this. And often we just start with like once a day, we try to do that, for one specific meal or a snack or something where we can actually build that in. And then I'm not a supplement pusher, but in this case, this is where I use supplements, because sometimes we just can't get in the apple cider vinegar, right? Or there's something called bitters. I'm not sure if you've heard of them too. Sometimes it all sounds really awful, right? And
like
so
that's out of a bar in a drink.
Yes,
yeah.
it definitely is. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, exactly. So I think, so in that case, so I would suggest some sort of digestive enzyme. I would also look at, there's complexities around that. So it would be something very specific to what that person would need. And then we figure out a system for, how do you remember to take this? What form does it need to be in, especially if it's for a child or something like chewable, or can we do a capsule? How big can that capsule be? Because also those things are issues for us too. So yeah, and then we kind of build that in. So it's not just a matter of, oh, just take it. It's, let's figure out how we can do this so that we can support you to actually be a bit more consistent.
Okay, so two questions. When it comes to the supplement piece on that, is there a certain stamp that you look for? As you know, we can order a whole lot of things off Amazon. Is there a certain level?
Always third party tested. So I think that's a really important piece. You can look for that. That should be on the outside of every bottle. If it's not there, if it doesn't talk to you about it's been tested outside of our own lab, that's what basically that means, then that's a sign. And the other piece with Amazon ordering as well, double check that if you're looking at something, look at what store it's coming from, because if it's coming from the brand name of that product, then that's reputable. If not, it could be, expired. Somebody else has bought a whole boatload of these from who knows where and is selling them on Amazon. So we do have to watch that. And that's a tough one, but that's something that I try to educate as much as possible around, because Amazon is really easy for us, right?
Yes.
So I think that's an important piece as well. Yeah.
Okay. And question 2 was around when, just like you said, saying take it is a great idea. It's a great energy. When it comes to the system or the reminder to take it, are you using kind of like habit hacking where you're adding it to something else already? Or what different signals have you found to be successful with clients when it comes to reminding them to take the digestive enzyme, as an example?
Yeah, no, and that's a good one. So for my own kids, it's about visibility. So it, as much as, we all want to have a clutter-free and beautiful home, it lives on the kitchen table. So, and they have it there, and it's become automatic. It takes a while for it to become automatic. It's habit stacked on our eating routine already. So in that sense, that's been helpful for them. And I think that's been helpful for a lot of my clients, but it just has to live there, and we just have to be okay with that. And then make sure that it has an automatic delivery subscription or something, so it comes, so we don't think about it. That's helpful. In terms of, I would say, like, if you're in the office going to work or whatever it might be, remembering that's where we'd have to do a little bit more figuring out or digging. I have people who don't like taking the supplements, prefer the apple cider vinegar, and they just put it in a little mason jar and they just keep it in their drawer of their desk, and then it's attached to something else. Like every time they go fill up their water, then it's become that habit. They just grab some of the apple cider vinegar, but it's out on their desk when they're using it, and they keep it there, or they keep it in their car. We figure stuff out, right? It's more about what works best for you and being open to that. And the same with even keeping the digestive enzymes in your car. The cue is what we have to figure out, right? And it has to be visible. So, and I know you guys understand all of this, but it's so specific to each person. So it's finding out which one works best, right?
Yeah, I think as somebody who has a day of the week thing on my bedside table for the first thing in the morning, and a day of the week thing in my living room beside my spot on the couch, and a bottle of medication right here in my office, because I know when my reminder goes off that I need to take something, it needs to be at an arm's length, or I'm going to forget. And it's going to be the next day when I go to take it. I'll be like, oh, shit, I didn't take yesterday's. So definitely finding it accessible. And something that I regret to inform everybody is having a solid breakfast with protein really helps throughout the whole day. And lunch is something that it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I think about, and it turns into more of a snack because I can't eat a whole meal before dinner, but just like that solid breakfast. It's horrible, but it works. But also finding those things that are accessible, like protein in a shaker cup that tastes like juice has been really good for me because it's there and accessible. And from a sensory perspective, yeah, there's the chocolate and the vanilla, but it just doesn't hit the same way as something that's not, I don't know, as heavy, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Light is a good description for that. And then you're more apt to want to drink it because it tastes like something you want to drink.
Yeah. Yeah. What are a couple of, and this is probably a loaded question like they all are because it's not
So
as simple.
much.
What are a couple of easy steps for somebody listening going, I have all these challenges. What are some things that they can do to eat a little bit more balanced nutrition that helps support their bodies? Because that's what we're really trying to do at the end of the day.
Yeah. So I think, okay, it is a loaded question. Yes. I think the first place I usually start is looking at our eating patterns, definitely. Looking at whether or not, if medication is in the mix, when do we need to make sure we place that first fuel, I like to call it, because that's a really important piece for us. Some people will say, oh, I hate eating breakfast in the morning. And so sort of looking at the rhythm of their day to figure out, yes, you may not have an appetite, but actually food is medicine. And if you need to be focused, or maybe there are certain days we need to build this in, maybe we can add in, I love that juice protein because that fits for you. So that's what we figure out and where to put that. The first thing I usually do is take this step back, right? Where is it hard for you to eat? Where do you fall off? Like, what does a day look like when it's just all become like lunch is at 3 p.m. and you haven't touched anything all day? What's happening around that? What can we do to support you in terms of making it easier on your executive function to make sure that you get up in the morning, maybe your juice is already ready, I don't know for you, and it's easy to grab. How do we make it easier so that you don't have to go through this thinking process? And then how do we implement that throughout the day? Yes, timers, great. We set a timer, but like you said, if it's not visible, it's not at your desk beside you when that timer goes off, you're not going to go do it. You hit the timer and then you're like, I'll go get it in a minute. And then you never go back ever. So that's where we have to again, why? Like, what's the why? Why is this happening? What's the barrier here? And then we figure out from there. Does that make sense? I don't know if I answered your question.
No, it makes total sense. And it's like, again, there's a lot of alignment between money and food and nutrition because there's not a silver bullet where you just have to always do this because the challenges are different for everybody. For me, I get up and I'm completely unsupervised. I have nobody else in my house. So my challenges would be much different than somebody who's getting up and trying to get kids out the door to school. I could just get easily distracted, where a mom or a parent trying to get kids out the door, it's like making sure the kids eat, making sure the kids have all they need. And then they're at school and then maybe you're at work and it's like, oh yeah, I didn't eat at all. Whoops.
Do you find that caffeine is also a big piece where I know for a lot of years, like I thought it was better to skip breakfast and then I'd just drink black coffee until noon or 1.
Having a physical reaction to that because again, I think around the work we do with ADHD, it's so nervous system based, right? Our nervous system is constantly in fight or flight. So it's stressed constantly. And so our cortisol, all those stress hormones are high. We're going, but our body is being depleted without us even realizing. And then all of a sudden we turn around and we're like on the floor or miserable or irritable or yelling at someone or whatever it might be, right? Or purchasing things online that we normally wouldn't. It's that dysregulation around that. I am a fan of coffee if it supports you. I think it's the balance.
Yes.
So it's like making sure that we do have some protein or some fat with that so that our system knows that it's not in stress mode, that it's actually okay. We're fueling. We're also getting a little caffeine. We like that. Our brain likes that, but there's more to it. It's not just putting more stress on top of the stress we already have, if that makes sense.
Thank you for not saying we shouldn't have caffeine because there's little pieces of joy in my morning and my white chocolate mocha that I've perfected duplicating the Starbucks is my joy. And one of the challenges that I have is breakfast is the meal that I'm going to eat reliably because I do have a flexible morning. And then dinner when my husband is around and I'm not at the cottage or vice versa, because I'm like, well, must eat. There's another adult here to take care of. But for me, I'm very rabbit hole. Here's the breakfast I'm eating for a very long time. And for a while, it was overnight oats with protein powder and chia seeds. But then
you got disgusted.
But then it switched to Pop-Tarts for a very long time.
I remember that.
And it's still once in a while, but lately it's been eggs with some cheese and some ground beef with taco spice on it. And the shift in shockingly between Pop-Tarts, because I'm like a 7-year-old, and eggs with even more protein. And I'm like, I'm often not hungry. And some of that I do know is my medication, but it's like, oh, wow. I'm more even keeled throughout the day. I have more energy.
Like true fuel.
Yeah.
Right? So it lasts longer in your tank, where the Pop-Tart is like a quick pump and it's like, hey, great high.
Yeah.
See ya in an hour. You're
But
gonna
I
be
can't
hungry.
control what the brain wants, what the brain wants.
It's like,
yeah. And you need to give it what it wants. Like that's its favorite fuel, right? Is glucose, sugar. And that makes sense. And I also love the rotation. That's a huge thing, right? Like that was the same with me. I used to love steel cut oats and I'd throw some frozen mango in there. And I was just like, this is amazing. And all of a sudden it was like, I just couldn't. It was like, my body rebelled against it. And then you switch. And that happens so often. And it's also like, if we think about our bodies talking to us, like there's something else I'm missing here, something else I need. And that could be in that stage of life, or maybe the stress load is higher or capacity is lower, whatever it might be. There's so many different reasons for it. But we have to embrace it. And I think that's what, the work that I do. I'm never going to take away anything from you. And if you came to me and you said, I can't stop eating Pop-Tarts right now, I'd be like, that is no problem. I'm not taking away those Pop-Tarts. We're going to keep them in there, but you're going to do me a little favor. You're going to add some protein or fat and a little fiber to that Pop-Tart, not on it necessarily, right? But with it.
It's like see with like a weird avocado sandwich.
No, we're not going I love that. But maybe it's, I don't know, 4 almonds and you add that to that Pop-Tart. And if you can do that, great. Like you just grab something else, or maybe you add some raspberries are a really good source of fiber.
Yep.
So even it's like a few raspberries and a handful of almonds, or your favorite nut, whatever that is. I don't care what it is, or seed if you can do that, or like you said, avocado if you like it. You could do a half avocado with a little lemon juice. Again, I'm adding things here, and we're talking about trying to take away executive function, but again, not take it away, but not make it so difficult. Simplify. Thank you.
Yep.
So I think it's what we can do, what we have capacity for at that specific time, but it also has to be simple. Like I just have to grab this and it's fine. That fat and protein piece and fiber too is going to slow down the amount of sugar that is coming from that delicious Pop-Tarts. I love Pop-Tarts. You just brought me back. Oh my gosh.
Costco has a great pack that's got half strawberry and then 25% blueberry and 25% raspberry. I love it because strawberry is my go-to. But when you said add something on, I'm just like, oh God, what's she going to tell me I need to add on?
Like 4 almonds.
But
I'm
then
like,
you say
I
4
can do
almonds.
that.
I'm like, oh, okay, like that's totally accessible. I thought you were going to be like, okay, so now I need you to add on like a protein shake with, I'm
2
just like
raw eggs.
yeah. Like, oh wait, this is accessible. This is doable. So
yeah,
you've got a few. We could probably talk forever, but we can't actually talk forever because then we lose the attention span of the listener. And you've got a couple of great resources, at least one of them being free. And I'm reading the name of them like, oh yes, need. Can you tell us a little bit about those and how they support our brains to get nutrition that we need?
I think it's this idea, like, well, the protein, fat, fiber piece, I coined it as PFF is your BFF. We should never have to take away. We just need to make sure we're balanced, because that's going to help with that blood sugar spike that we're going to get. Like we're woohoo, and then all of a sudden we crash, and then we're binging, or we don't eat, or we're miserable. And it all affects our executive function. So that's the first one. The actual resource, and I talk about this in the resource, what to do when food feels like too much. And it has some of these, and I don't like the term tips and tricks. I'm not that, but I think there's some ideas in there, just like what we talked about understanding that we just have to add something else in, and it doesn't have to be big, right? It can be really, it's just about what is easier for you within that. And that's PDF, and you can go through it. The other thing that I have that I really love that I've just recently built is a food system. It's called WTFs for dinner, because that's my whole life. Like, what, I don't know, what is for dinner? Every day for the rest of our life. Somebody had mentioned that to me at one point. I was like, oh, the rest of our life, we have to make dinner. So how are we going to do this? But in this, it's a series of videos, but you can listen to it like a podcast. And it just goes through some of the really cool tools and approaches that I've worked with so many different ADHD brains, because nobody's is the same, and we always come up with something new for everyone, but kind of the ones that have worked even for a lot of people, not just for one person. So some of that is like, I call it kitchen architecture. Sometimes we reorganize our cupboards in our kitchen so that, like, if there's a coffee station, we put everything we need in the cupboard or drawer or wherever it is, including the cups, including the coffee. We're not moving around the kitchen trying to find things and make it harder for our brain. But coffee sounds like it's easier for a lot of us, but like, that's not a great example. But maybe, just understanding that. It also something I called my ADHD meal matrix, which is, I don't want to call it a spreadsheet. I know
we do love a good spreadsheet.
I know. It kind of is, but I didn't use the spreadsheet to make it. I used Canva, but it lists protein, fats, and fiber. So just like everything I could possibly think of in terms of what those categories are. And then so your brain doesn't have to think or remember in maybe a situation where you're exhausted at the end of the day, and you just kind of like pick and choose from those and you slap something together. So it's sort of really about this assembly, meals as assembly, not recipes, right? I'm not going to give you a whole bunch of recipes and tell you to go. Recipes are terrible for the ADHD brain too, because we have to toggle back and forth. Oh, I hate them.
Oh my God, that's the worst. You're just trying to make something, and then it's on your phone half the time. Then your phone goes to sleep, and then you have to pick up your phone and open your phone, and then try and find where you were and hope a notification doesn't pop up and
interrupt you.
Side note, if you're listening to this, turn off all your notifications except the urgent ones like phone calls and text messages. If you have notifications on from social media, you just stop. Okay, squirrel.
Do you recommend trying to do something once a week where you're trying to make some sort of outline? Obviously, so you're not going to the grocery store 5 different times.
Yeah. So in that case, it would be what feels most comfortable for you. I think the ones that work best for me is that I force them to sit down in front of me, and we come up with default meals. So these are ones that they always have, and we have a default grocery list. And so we figure what that is. So they have a standing grocery list of all of the things that they would need for their default meals, plus whatever else on top of that they always want to have on hand. And then we can decide to add to that. Like, we can look at the week and decide what capacity might look like, and look for where we're like, we always are hopeful that, but I could totally do that on a Wednesday night and whip together this and that after I had this whatever happened at work. Like, no, you cannot. We're not pretending like we can, but really building so that you understand that you have something to access even when you are at your lowest capacity. Mm-hmm. It's always there. So we build that. Definitely. And then we can work either by adding on. The other piece too is, how do you get those meals done? Even those default meals, we do them when we're already in the kitchen. So if you're in the kitchen making a coffee, can you wash some raspberries, let's just say, and stick them in a container and put it in the fridge? And don't put them in a drawer. They need to go in the middle of the fridge at eye level, because they need to be visible.
Yes, that's what I've heard, is like, put the condiments in the drawer.
Yes.
Because you're going to make sure you find the ketchup if you're having something that needs the ketchup, but you're maybe not going to remember that there's carrots.
The very sad cucumbers at the bottom.
And from the grocery shopping perspective, like, one of the things that online grocery ordering with other people that are the decision makers in the house and are the people that cook, having access to that, so there's not one person adding things to the grocery list. If you've got a partner, if you've got kids that are cooking, give them access to add the things, so they're not like, mom, can you add carrots to the grocery list? Can you add raspberries? Like, give them the access so that you're not carrying the whole mental load for that. And then there's like, I order groceries for pickup every Wednesday. Or if you're like me and you can't plan exactly what day, it's based on need, I'll just say to my husband, I'm putting a grocery order in now. Can you add anything and let me know when you're done? So it's like not carrying the full load yourself. And if your kids are old enough, get them in the kitchen helping. Not only is that helping you today, it's also going to help them when they move out or go off to college or university. And then they're not like those adults who have no idea how to cook.
Yes. That's a huge one. I deal with a lot of those too. Yeah, no, and that's so big. I think like in our household, what works for us is we have a Google Home, or if you have an Alexa or something like that, and our grocery list, we can just yell at Google to add this to the grocery list. I hope it doesn't yell at me right now, and it will do that. And so the kids can add, it's linked to, an app in my phone. And so my husband and I can also manually add, because sometimes Google doesn't like my voice for some reason. I don't understand that.
Rude.
Rude, I know. And then so it's more about like what systems would work best for you. I need to say it out loud, and as soon as I go to my phone, I'm going to get distracted, and I didn't put it on the list at all, right? So, but it has to really work for you. I don't think there's any one right thing, but that's what I like to do is kind of like investigate into everyone's like where can we, what, how best can we support you within what your day-to-day life looks like, and that is it a crazy morning that you're trying to get everybody out the door, and how do we make sure you get nutrients in your body at the same time, and really building in with those systems that are already there.
I love that, like working around what your days are. And you said something that's like, and again, a lot of these conversations are similar to what I have with clients and money. It's like build a plan based on who you are and who you are, not that
ideal
who you
self.
think you are, where you're like, I'm going to cook a full 4-course meal every day of the week, even though we have ballet and dance and swimming lessons and soccer. Like what's realistic, and like what's the minimum viable option to make sure that people are eating. And I love a good throw something in the slow cooker and everybody leaves the house for the day, and you come home and there's that meal, and you know that that's there, and you're not driving through a drive-through on the way home because everybody's so hungry they want to eat their face off.
Yes. And driving through the drive-through is A-okay. Like that's also something we do is build in like, when can we do that? Because we need to do that because it's about balance, right? It's not about that restriction. It's totally fine. And also I think it's more about becoming more aware about your capacity and where you're at and starting to recognize what that is. And definitely for us with ADHD, or interoceptive awareness, even understanding hunger or when we need to pee sometimes can be hard. So it's
reward. If you need to go, you need to go. You don't have to finish the task. It's going to take 10 more minutes.
Yeah.
You don't win a medal for doing that.
No. But we're so used to, again, like our nervous system is on overload, just all the shoulds, right? No, I need to do, or I should finish this, or I should eat this way, or whatever it is. So I think we talk a lot, I call it my 3-door sort of, I always ask like, which door are you at? So is it, are you at a low capacity? So door 1, like you could literally, all you can do right now is like jam a protein bar and in your face. Like that's great, right? That's great. That's the idea. Are you at moderate? Like, are you at moderate capacity right now? Maybe you could put 2 things together, like, I don't know, some tuna and something, or a Greek yogurt bowl of some sort with some fruit, because it'll be easily accessible because we figured out how to do that in your fridge and it's easy to assemble. Or do you have a higher capacity today? Like, do you really wanted to try something new, or you really wanted to make something that your kids really love, or that your partner really loves? You have that capacity today. But it's about identifying, I think, too, a lot of that, because we don't allow ourselves to have that, and we need it. And we always have to design for the worst days, always, not the good ones. We design when we're like, that's kind of the mentality where I'm trying to shift. And I hear that with the work that you do as well.
And that I'm not going to eat unless I can eat perfectly. No,
yes.
No, not eating is not the solution if you can't eat perfectly. It's finding that something quick. And again, sometimes I feel like I'm a toddler where it's like, okay, I'm going to have a granola bar and an applesauce for a snack, or like the chocolate protein drinks from Costco. It's like, it's something.
Something is better than nothing.
Yeah. Fed is best.
Yes.
It's not just for babies when we're talking about bottle or breast. There's so many different spectrums of eating, and it's like eating something is better than just like, oh, I'll just wait an hour or 2 hours or 5 hours and then it's the end of the day.
And now you're in pain and you're miserable
and not functioning very well.
No.
Yeah, that's an understatement for sure. Exactly. And I think, and it's that shame piece, right? It's because I should be eating however many grams of protein, and it should be grilled chicken and I should be able to prepare it all and have this beautiful whatever it is. And as soon as we just give ourselves that permission, that, like you said, fed is better than definitely unfed, and really understanding the impact on what we want to do and how we want to show up in our life.
Mm-hmm.
That's so important too. Like the why, and what do we want to be there for? Is it our family? Or is it our career? Whatever it is, linking this feeling like we need to pull the shame away around food so that you can stay fueled regularly, so that you can do the things you want to do, because you cannot do them, especially with ADHD, if you do not eat until 3 p.m. Like you cannot.
Yes.
Not
You
real.
will burn out.
Yeah, find something that works for you, that's simple and as quick as you need it to be for your, I love that term, the first fuel of the day. So like, this has been a great conversation, and we're so grateful that you've been able to join us today, Amy. And if people are looking to connect with you, we will share some links in the bio, but where is the best spot for somebody to come and find you and learn more about you?
Yeah, thank you. So Instagram, I think, is my main place. So you can DM me there. And then my website is amyjonesnutrition.com. And you can also reach out there and see a little bit more about this framework and the mindset around a lot of the work that I do with ADHDers.
Awesome. Awesome. And again, it's so great to have chatted with you, and we can't wait to share your guidance and your support with our audience. So thanks again for being here. And to our audience, we will see you next time on the Mind and Money podcast.